Have you ever wondered why someone thinks of you, feels your presence in their absence, but never takes the step to come closer? Why does someone who once seemed so connected suddenly disappear, leaving a void that's difficult to understand? Have you felt that, no matter how much your soul pleads for a response, the universe remains silent? It seems as if everything is happening in complete stillness. The truth is that love, like everything that is deep and genuine, isn't just about logic or visible actions. It resides in the hidden corners of our being, where our oldest wounds and unresolved fears shape our encounters or their absence. This is where the real question begins: why does someone think of you, dream of you, yet not take action? The answer is often hidden deeper than what we consciously perceive. In the silence, in the shadows, in the chaos of the unconscious mind, imagine your mind as an expansive ocean. Sometimes calm, sometimes turbulent. Within it, there are countless ships: your thoughts, your feelings, your memories. Some of these ships are familiar, sailing smoothly through clear waters, while others are submerged beneath layers of darkness and sediment. When someone thinks of you or remembers you, it's not just a superficial event. It's a sign that their internal universe is always in motion. It's filled with symbols, signals, and messages they might not even be aware of. Language of the subconscious, whispering truths that go beyond words. Let's consider the metaphor of a mirror. In relationships, we often reflect what we refuse to accept in ourselves. When someone disappears or distances themselves, it's not necessarily because they don't love you. Often, it's because their own unresolved conflicts and shadows prevent them from acting differently. It's as if an invisible force, a deep resistance rooted in their fears or pain, holds back their steps. It's not a logical choice. It's an emotional reaction, a defense mechanism from the depths of their unconscious. Their withdrawal, that silent absence filled with meaning, is actually a profound discovery, their invitation to explore the depths of your own soul. The more you understand that their silence or distance is a reflection of their internal struggles, the more compassion you can cultivate for them and for yourself, because the greatest battles are fought within, in the shadowy regions of unresolved emotions that we've kept concealed from ourselves. This understanding is powerful. When you recognize that the silence of someone who loves you in their own way is rooted in their fears, wounds, or shadowy parts, fears they may not even be aware of, you begin to perceive it differently. It becomes an opening for introspection, for growth, not a reason for despair. What can this silence teach you? It can teach you about yourself, the parts of your soul that still seek validation outside, the wounds that remain unhealed, the stories you keep telling yourself about your worth. Every absence, every quiet moment in a relationship is a mirror that reflects what's hidden beneath the surface. It's an invitation to go deeper, to listen to what your inner world is trying to reveal. When you begin to see your own reflection in this silence, your entire perspective shifts. You realize that your worth isn't dependent on someone else's actions or words. It's there already present, waiting for you to claim it. The external world is simply a mirror of your internal reality. If you feel hurt by someone's distance, it's not because of them alone. It's because of what you believe about yourself when they remain silent. This is the beginning of true transformation, turning inward, courageously facing your shadows, and discovering that all your responses, all your reactions, are rooted in your inner landscape. Life constantly offers us messages in symbols, signs of growth, of wounds needing healing, of parts of ourselves we've hidden away. The challenge is to observe, to listen, and to embrace these aspects rather than run from them. This insight can be liberating. When you understand that the silence or absence of someone you love is a message, an invitation to reconnect with your core, everything changes. You stop searching outside yourself for validation. Instead, you turn inward to nurture your own being. Every moment of perceived loss becomes a gift, a chance to deepen your self-awareness and to find peace within. Because at the core, love is not about possession or attachment. It's about connection, both with others and, most importantly, with yourself. When you learn to love yourself unconditionally, the external world becomes a safe space for true intimacy, where relationships no longer depend on need or fear, but on authenticity and mutual growth. And here's a vital truth: the universe responds to your inner state. When you vibrate from a place of wholeness, love gravitates towards you not because you chase it, but because you emanate it. The greatest act of love you can give is to accept yourself wholeheartedly, flaws and all, and to realize that your worth isn't contingent on anyone else's validation. So if someone thinks of you but doesn't reach out if they miss you, but don't make contact, recognize it as their internal process, not a rejection. It's simply a reflection of where they are in their journey. As Jung taught us, life is not random. Our external circumstances are a mirror of our internal state, a map of unresolved conflicts, buried fears, and unmet needs. This is the moment to reconnect with your inner power, to choose yourself in every moment, regardless of others' actions, to see that your happiness, your sense of worth, and your love don't depend on external validation but on your own acceptance. When you start loving yourself fully, you attract relationships that reflect that wholeness, partnerships built on authenticity, mutual respect, and shared growth. Now, take a deep breath and reflect. Are you waiting for someone to come back to prove your worth? Or are you ready to come back to yourself? Because the real magic happens when you stop waiting and start awakening. When you realize that the love you seek is already within, hidden behind layers of doubt, fear, and pain, that's when everything shifts. Remember, love is not about holding on tightly, trying to control the unchangeable. It's about releasing attachment, trusting the flow, and loving from a place of abundance. When you do that, the external world begins to shift in harmony with your inner state. The silence, the absence, the waiting, these become spaces for growth, for understanding, for healing. So, my invitation for you right now is simple. Write in the comments the word rebirth as a symbolic act. Let this be your declaration. I am ready to let go of what no longer serves me. I am ready to return to myself whole, loved, and embraced by my own truth. Because rebirth is not starting from zero. It's starting from your deepest authenticity. It's about seeing yourself with gentle eyes, with compassion, and with love. Imagine for a moment you are the echo of a love that once stirred your soul, a love that pierced your vulnerabilities and touched the tenderest parts of your being. It's not about what you did or didn't do. It's about what you represented, a mirror for their own awakening. Sometimes loving someone means facing parts of ourselves that we long to hide, confess, and integrate. When someone pulls away, it's not a rejection of you. It's a reflection of their own inner battle, a fight they might not even be aware of. Their distance often has little to do with you and more to do with what they're afraid to face inside. And that's where your power lies, in recognizing that their silence says more about their journey than about your worth. As you deepen your understanding, you begin to see that all relationships are less about what is visible and more about what is hidden beneath the surface. Behind every silent treatment, every withdrawal, lies a complex web of unconscious motivations, forces you cannot see with the naked eye, but which influence outcomes in ways that often seem inexplicable. These are the signals of the soul trying to communicate in a language beyond words through hesitation, distance, and even absence. Think of the relationship as a sacred mirror reflecting your deepest fears, unresolved wounds, and the parts of yourself you might be hiding. What you see in that reflection can be either empowering or disarming depending on your willingness to look deeper. Every time someone pulls away, it's a message from the subconscious, a whisper meant to awaken your awareness of parts of yourself you may have ignored or suppressed. In Jungian psychology, these signals are crucial. Jung called them archetypes, symbols that carry universal meanings. The shadow, one of the most powerful archetypes, represents those aspects of ourselves we have repressed, attributes deemed unacceptable or too painful to face. Yet, it's precisely these parts that influence our relationships the most. When someone distances themselves, it could be because their shadow triggers feelings of inadequacy, shame, or vulnerability that they're not prepared to carry. Instead of confronting those parts, their unconscious reacts by retreating, creating a wall that keeps the pain suppressed but not healed. It's as if their psyche is saying, not yet, not here, not now. And so, the silence and distance become protection, self-imposed barriers to avoid the discomfort of facing their own unresolved conflicts. But here's the paradox. These reactions don't signify a lack of love. Often, they are the result of unresolved trauma, wounds rooted in early childhood, past betrayals, or emotional neglect that continue to operate beneath the surface. These wounds are like invisible roots, anchoring their behavior to old pain rather than the present moment. And what about you? How do you respond to this silent language of the unconscious? Do you interpret their absence as rejection? As a sign That you are not enough? Or do you realize that their retreat is not about your worth, but about their own inner battles? It takes courage to face this truth. It's easy to blame, to feel rejected, or to fall into despair. But true strength lies in recognizing that these signals, these gaps and silences are opportunities for inner work. That's where the real transformation begins, when you start to see beyond the surface and ask what they are mirroring back to you about your own inner state. Imagine their withdrawal as a gentle but firm reminder. Look inside. What part of you is still waiting for external validation? Because ultimately, no one outside you can give you what you haven't already given yourself. That's the essence of healing. That's the path of the soul. Let me say that again. No one outside can complete you or fill the emptiness if you haven't learned to be whole within. The absence of another is often a reflection of your own inner gaps, unacknowledged needs, unhealed wounds, or parts of yourself you deny. When you see this, it stops feeling like rejection and begins to feel like an invitation to dive inward. In this journey, shadows serve as teachers. They reveal those hidden parts that you've kept locked away, fears of being unlovable, shame about your vulnerabilities, or feelings of worthlessness that you've learned to hide. When someone pulls away, it is as if the universe is softly saying, look deeper. What are you avoiding? What parts of yourself need your love right now? This process is not easy. It often involves facing emotions that are uncomfortable, even painful. But beneath that pain is an incredible gift, the opportunity to reclaim your power, to see that your unhealed wounds shape your responses, and by bringing them into consciousness, you begin to rewire your inner world. Think of your subconscious like a garden. If you ignore the weeds, those fears, doubts, and negative beliefs, they grow wild, choking the healthy plants of your confidence and love. But if you tend to the soil, pull the weeds, and plant new seeds of compassion and self-acceptance, your inner landscape transforms. Relationships then become reflections of this new garden filled with beauty, vitality, and authenticity. This process of inner gardening requires patience and compassion. It involves listening to the whispers of your unconscious, recognizing that every emotional trigger is an alert that a part of you needs attention. When someone distances themselves, instead of reacting impulsively, pause and ask, what is this situation revealing about my inner landscape? The answer often points to old patterns. Perhaps it's a familiar story, feeling unworthy, needing approval, or repeating childhood beliefs that you're not enough. These stories are like tapes playing in the background, guiding your reactions without your conscious awareness. But once you recognize them, you gain the power to change the narrative, and that's the core of this unfolding spiritual journey, conscious awareness, recognizing that the external world is a mirror reflecting your internal state. Recognizing that your pain, your longing, and your fears are opportunities for deep healing and transformation. When you see relationships through this lens, every silence becomes a sacred message. Every absence is an invitation to look inward and ask, where am I withholding love from myself? What story am I telling that keeps me trapped in longing or despair? In this way, love itself becomes a mirror for your growth. It reveals your shadows not to condemn you, but to awaken you. It invites you to own every part of yourself, the light and the dark, and to love unconditionally, starting within. Take a moment now. Reflect on a situation where someone you care about has pulled away or remained silent. Instead of feeling rejected, see it as nature's way of guiding you toward your own healing. Notice what feelings arise. Are there old wounds surfacing? Are you seeking approval or validation? Allow yourself to observe without judgment, because recognizing these patterns is the first step toward liberation. The deeper you go into your inner world, the more you'll realize that the love you seek outside is already present inside, waiting to be awakened. It's not something to chase or force. It's something to discover and nurture. And here's the truth: the greatest act of love you can practice is loving yourself fully, every shadow, every scar. When you do that, your relationships shift naturally. They become authentic, rooted in mutual understanding and respect. You attract partners who see your radiance and are willing to walk alongside you, not to fix or save you, but to grow together in truth. I invite you to take this moment now. Reflect on what your silent signals are meant to teach you. Embrace your shadows with compassion. Recognize that every withdrawal, every space of silence is an invitation and opening for you to meet yourself more deeply, because your worth isn't determined by others' actions or words. It's a flame burning steadily within you, waiting to be reignited. When you light that fire, everything around you begins to change. The external world becomes a witness to your inner transformation. In the end, love is not about control or needing someone to fill an emptiness. It's about aligning with your own truth. It's about showing up for yourself with honesty, compassion, and courage. When you do, the universe responds in kind. Love flows effortlessly, no longer as a struggle, but as a natural reflection of your inner peace. So, as a symbol of your commitment to this journey, I invite you to write in the comments the word rebirth. Declare to your soul, I am ready to shed what no longer serves me, to face my shadows, and to embrace my authentic self. This is your sacred act, a powerful affirmation that you are choosing life, love, and growth on your terms. Remember, the deepest relationships begin within. Your journey inward is the true path to love that is whole, unlimited, and free. As you begin to explore the depths of your inner world, you realize that the journey toward love and wholeness is not a linear path, but a sacred dance with your shadows. These shadow aspects, those parts of yourself kept hidden, rejected, or denied, are the keys to unlocking true intimacy, both with yourself and others. Think of the darkness within as a wounded friend, a part of you longing for recognition and healing. The act of facing your shadow isn't about condemning or suppressing it. It's about integrating what has been disowned. When you do this consciously, you transform what was once a source of pain into a wellspring of strength. Imagine the shadow as a garden overgrown with weeds. At first glance, it appears unruly and overwhelming. But behind that chaos lies a treasure trove of insights and healing potential. Each weed represents a belief, a fear, or an emotion that was suppressed to protect you from further pain. When you decide to tend this garden with patience and compassion, you begin to uncover the flower's wisdom, resilience, authenticity. The process begins with honest observation. Ask yourself, what parts of me do I refuse to accept? What emotions do I keep buried? What patterns repeat in my relationships? Patterns of longing, rejection, neediness, or avoidance. These questions are not easy, but they are the necessary doorway to transformation. Accept that these parts of yourself have served a purpose. Often, they've protected you from feeling vulnerable or exposed. But now, they are no longer serving your highest good. When you bring awareness to them, they lose their power to control your behaviors. You step into the role of compassionate witness, observing your inner landscape with curiosity rather than judgment. As Jung emphasized, awareness is the first step toward healing. When you start to recognize the roots of your reactions, whether it's clinginess, fear of abandonment, or emotional detachment, you begin to see that these behaviors are not fixed identities but adaptations from the past. They are signs, guides showing you where healing is still needed. Now, think about the courageous act of sitting with difficult emotions, shame, anger, fear, without trying to push them away or deny their existence. Instead, welcome them as messengers. Invite them into your conscious awareness like old friends returning home. Ask them, what are you here to teach me? This compassion for your wounds is a radical act. It shifts your perspective from seeing these emotions as enemies to recognizing them as parts of your inner wisdom. When you do this consistently, you create a safe space within for all parts of you to be seen, heard, and loved. In this process, you begin to dissolve the barriers that kept parts of your soul in darkness. You recognize that your pain, shame, or fears do not define you, they are fragments seeking wholeness. When you integrate these fragments, a new level of authenticity emerges, one rooted in self-love and acceptance. This inner alchemy transforms your relationships. When your own wounds are acknowledged and healed, you no longer project your unmet needs onto others. Instead, you relate from a place of fullness, where love flows freely without desperate clinging or silent resentment. The dynamic shifts from seeking validation externally to radiating self-assuredness. This is the path of conscious shadow work, looking into the mirror of your soul without flinching, daring to see the unpolished, imperfect parts that you once thought unworthy. Remember, Jung taught us that the integration of the shadow is essential for individuated consciousness and awakening to who you truly are beyond societal masks and conditioned beliefs, but this does not happen overnight. It's a slow, deliberate process that requires patience and dedication. Each time you choose to face a hidden fear or accept a vulnerable part, you strengthen your inner foundation. Over time, that foundation becomes unshakable, anchored in your authentic self. Here's the profound truth: love in its deepest form is born out of this inner integration. When you embrace your shadows, you stop fearing abandonment, rejection, or failure. Instead, you see these experiences as natural parts of human growth. They become opportunities to deepen your trust in your own resilience. Now, I invite you to consider the concept of radical self-trust. Trust that, no matter how turbulent your inner storms, you have within you everything you need to heal, to love, and to be whole. The more you do this inner work, the more your external relationships reflect that wholeness. Imagine a life where you no longer chase fleeting illusions of love or validation. Instead, you embody a deep sense of self-worth, a wellspring that no one outside can diminish. When you love yourself unconditionally, your relationships become more genuine, more nourishing, and rooted in mutual authenticity. This inner work is also about forgiving both yourself and others. Forgiveness is not forgetting or excusing harmful behaviors, but releasing the hold of past wounds that keep you hostage. It's about seeing your pain with compassion, realizing that it was born out of a desire to be loved and accepted. As you liberate yourself from these old patterns, you step into a new chapter of your life, one where love is no longer a battle but a dance of shared awakening. You recognize that your healing journey is intimately connected to the healing of others, that when you tend to your shadows, you become a beacon for others to do the same. Each act of inner courage, each moment of vulnerability adds to your collective strength. You become a luminous presence, grounded, authentic, and free. And this radiance naturally attracts those who resonate with your truth, people capable of loving without conditions, without masks. So I encourage you to continue this process, to confront your shadows with gentleness, to embrace every part that has been hidden or rejected. The more you do, the more you realize that the true alchemy of love begins within, that the deepest connection you seek is already alive in you, waiting patiently to be awakened. Take a moment now. Reflect on a part of yourself you've been hesitant to face. What emotional block are you avoiding? What belief about yourself still lingers in the shadows? Welcome it without judgment. Welcome it as a teacher. And trust that every time you choose to love the parts you once rejected, you are rewiring your entire inner landscape. Remember, healing is a process of continual growth, like a garden blooming in its own time. Trust the process. Trust yourself. Because within you lies the power to transform not just your relationships, but your very perception of love itself. As you continue on this journey inward, a remarkable awakening begins to unfold. It's subtle at first, like the gradual dawn, breaking through the darkness, illuminating every corner of your soul that was once shrouded in shadows. This awakening is not a sudden event, but a gentle revelation, a conscious recognition that the love you've been seeking outside resides already within you, waiting to be rediscovered. Imagine standing in a vast, silent space, your inner universe. As you breathe deeply, you realize that this space is abundant, expansive, and filled with a love that no one can take away. It is the love of your own essence, shining brightly even in moments of solitude. Here, in this sacred silence, you deepen your connection to your true self. You understand that your worth isn't built upon external validation but rooted in your own inherent divine presence, and in this realization lies the greatest liberation, the understanding that everything in your life is an invitation to deepen your self-awareness. Every encounter, every silence, every absence is a mirror reflecting your inner landscape. When you stop asking, "Why isn't someone coming closer?" and instead ask, "What can I learn about myself in this silence?" you shift from outer dependence to inner sovereignty. This shift is the beginning of genuine freedom. It's the moment when you stop seeking love to fill a void and start experiencing love as an expression of your wholeness. When you know yourself, fully your shadows, your wounds, your light, you become a magnet for relationships that honor that authenticity. Remember, love is not a transaction. It's not about fixing, fixating, or grasping. Love at its core is a state of being. It is a steady, unwavering presence rooted in acceptance and trust. When you face your deepest fears, abandonment, rejection, unworthiness, you transmute them into pillars of strength. When you embrace every nuance of your inner world, you align yourself with the flow of life and love. You come to see that every person who has ever missed you without reaching out is simply a reflection of their own journey, a mirror of what they need to heal within themselves. Their silence is not a rejection. It's an invitation for you to love yourself more fiercely, more unconditionally. It's a call to deepen your inner work and to recognize that your happiness isn't dependent on their actions, but on your own conscious choice to love yourself. In this space of inner awakening, you understand that true love is an act of surrendering the ego's desires, surrendering control, and surrendering the need to understand everything immediately. It's about trusting in the process of life, knowing that everything unfolds in divine timing. And so, I invite you to embrace this truth. The love you've been longing for is already within you. It is the core of your being, an eternal flame that no external circumstances can extinguish. When you fully accept this, you realize that relationships are merely an extension of your inner state. When you are at peace with who you are, who you've become, and who you are still becoming, the external world reflects that peace back to you. Now, take a moment to internalize this powerful realization. You are enough. You have always been enough. The love you seek is a mirror of your self-acceptance. Your worth is intrinsic, unchanging, and eternal. When you align with this truth, doors open, hearts heal, and paths that once seemed blocked now flow freely. In this awakening, you step into your power, the power of being fully present with yourself without condition. You become the source of love, the space where love flows effortlessly. This is the true essence of connection, not from need or dependency, but from wholeness. When love flows from a place of inner abundance, it becomes a dance of joy, trust, and mutual respect. So I leave you with this. The moment you stop waiting for love to find you outside and start cultivating it inside, everything shifts. The universe responds to your inner state. Your relationships mirror your inner harmony, and you realize that the most profound love story is not the one with someone else, but the one with yourself, the journey of becoming your own greatest lover, healer, and healer. Come back to this space whenever doubt arises. Remember that your worth isn't measured by the silence or absence of others, but by your ability to love yourself fiercely in every moment. Because when you truly love yourself, you send a powerful message to the universe. I am complete, I am whole, I am enough, and I am worthy of love that is free, authentic, and everlasting. This is your awakening, a conscious shift from seeking love in others to discovering it within. It is the rebirth of your highest truth, the reclaiming of your inner power, and the ultimate act of self-love. When you walk this path, you no longer chase shadows. You become the light that guides others toward their own awakening. The greatest love story is the one you write with your own being, and it begins the moment you realize that everything you've ever needed has always been inside you, waiting patiently for your recognition.